economy, ours is a mono economy. What do we do, or where are we where we are now?
Okay, just going back a bit to the announcement by the federal government during the week that the economy have done well over the last 3 years. You know, in that announcement, they were told that the Nigerian economy have moved 8 digits from number 44 in terms of economic size to number 36 over the last 3 years, and other numbers like foreign direct investment, the size of our debt market, that is bond market, market capitalization growing, and all of the good numbers. And the reason why the Lagos Chamber of Commerce is here today is not to argue with those numbers, because in terms of nominal numbers, Nigeria is doing very well across board. But again, Nigerians, household and firms are a little bit tired of these numbers because we are not lacking numbers. I think this is time to move from talking the talk.
There's still unemployment.
Exactly.
There are no industry
to doing the work. Why we're saying this is that Nigeria have done well, but we are highly underperforming. The current state of Nigerian economy is such that even if we decide not to work, GDP will still grow. This is a country where a particular region, Northeast, have been shut down for over a year now. Here, foreign direct investment is moving, GDP is growing. It sends a signal that even if we all decide to rest to some extent, the economy will still run and will still be a large economy. So it is time for Nigeria to see what is the major disconnect between the GDP numbers, between inflation numbers, between stability of exchange rates, as economists will put it, and putting food on the tables of Nigeria. I want to go. Nigeria will say GDP is growing at 6%, 8% over the last 10 years. How come that Nigeria, the incidence of poverty is rising? How come that corruption index is rising? Quality of life is decreasing in terms of access to potable water, access to health, primary school enrollment, infant mortality rates, and even life expectancy, one of the lowest in the world. These are the numbers that Nigerians want to begin to see. Nigerians want to begin to hear from the federal government that over the last 2 years, X number of malaria deaths were prevented. We want to begin to hear that over the last 1 year, this is the amount we saved from not importing as much rice as we used to import. We need to do the work and stop talking the talk. Now, going into the realities on ground, you say what should be done. One of the major things that the federal government and all stakeholders need to do to bridge the gap between the numbers and quality of life is job creation. Unfortunately, over the last 2 years, we've not even seen job numbers. The last we saw was in 2011 when Bureau of Statistics said the unemployment rate is 23.9%. That is official. As at that date, unofficial numbers is well over 35% or 40%. Some countries are having less than 50% of the numbers we're having pick up arms against the leaders, but that did not happen in the country. So if we can formulate policies and also back it up with the right action, such that Nigerians will go back to work. That is GDP driven by employment numbers, not even unemployment. I'm not interested in unemployment number. I want to see how many jobs were created, in which cities, in which sectors, what type of people were hired. These are the numbers we want to see.
If I'm a comment, can you create jobs without industries?
Exactly. Of course, you can do little in terms of creating jobs, because today the sectors that are driving Nigerian economy are not really employment-driven sectors like oil and gas, as my colleague have mentioned. Even the financial sector that is reporting all the 100 billion profit after tax. How many people are employed in Nigerian banking industry? Less than 70,000 Nigerians are employed in that sector. So you find out that it's time we need to begin to add value, like you mentioned, not just producing the raw material or extraction, but adding value, creating industrial zones across the states, across all the regions, so that Nigerians will get jobs. We have to copy some of these, some people call them Asian tigers, even China and India. What do they do over the last 20 years to begin to move into, close the gap? we remember that China, first of all, took advantage of the domestic market. An economy that have over 1 billion people, they know that they have market, and they have to feed their people. They have to clothe their people. They have to house their people. This have to be done.
Mr. Wani, is it true that most of the big companies and even banks are indebted to AMCON?
Yeah, banks cannot be indebted. Of course, it's a big story. It's a big story, but the general answer is yes. But the yes have some. We can modify it.
You can modify.
We can modify it because it is the debt owed to bank that were transferred to
AMCON.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
So when banks transferred this debt to AMCON, Asset Management of Nigeria, of course, the banks are now a little bit free to continue with their normal banking transaction and the intermediary rule. And the job of AMCON is now to chase the actual debtor. You know, you are relieving the banks so that they can continue doing their business.
Yes.
And so that is the simple structure. So right now, as you speak, a lot of those debts still owed to AMCON are still outstanding, and AMCON are doing a lot to see how much they can recover before the lifespan. Of course, the lifespan is 10 years.
Okay.
The matter of our interest rate and exchange rate. We are told that they have both been quite stable, even though we're now buying a dollar at 162, 163 naira, which some of us who are not economists don't see reason for. Why should we be buying $1 at 163 naira, for crying out loud? Is our money so weak that we have to pay so much? But you economists have told us that is the best thing for our economy. How is that affecting our position right now?
I think that's one of the key jobs of the central bank in terms of monetary policy, as trying to what they call the trinity, the exchange rate, okay, the inflation rate, and then of course the interest rate. Everybody knows that you try to juggle the three, but you never get the three right at the same time. Okay. So it's almost an impossibility. But sometimes you have to do trade-offs. Now, with regards to the interest rate and exchange rate, we know that the interest rate in Nigeria is not where it should be. Okay, we should be talking about below double-digit inflation interest rate. Okay, because at the end of the day, that's what determines what you do. If you have to borrow to set up an industry at 20%, of course you're dead on arrival. If somebody else could borrow at 2% or 3%, okay, which is what's happening in dollar and other regimes, whereby they're even looking at 1% interest rates. But of course, the exchange rate, you have to get the balance right, because it sends some signals. Okay, if the exchange rate is too strong, then it encourages a lot of imports, because people feel that they can